makes me smile. I love our music.
Me too.
Thank you, Fred.
Thank you, Fred Corey.
Really? Thanks, Fred.
Yeah.
Thank you, Fred.
Oh, are we awake this morning? We're having a morning podcast. We don't do this very often.
I don't.
I only
Well,
had
it's
one
not
cup of
morning
coffee
for
today.
me.
Yeah.
Me too. We're on the rags. Do you know why we're on the rags?
Risa.
Amy, Gloria,
Sloan.
rags. How is everybody? Okay?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Raggy.
so good.
But there's so
Raggy.
many things that I've been reading about lately that we should discuss. I woke up this morning. I read newspapers in the morning, have coffee. And
But not
then
real newspapers, not things you hold in your hand.
No, I read them
Oh,
online.
I read the real ones.
I read them
yes.
online. And one headline that really struck me was SpaceX astronauts forced to wear diapers on ride home due to broken toilet. Now,
Yeah.
I know that Michael has been working all weekend because they're coming home. The astronauts are coming back tomorrow, like in the evening and into the morning. And it was delayed because of weather and whatnot. And it's a 20-hour ride to come back from the International Space Station back to land in Florida. I was so consumed about this morning. And I said to Michael, is that true? And he said, well, there's two separate systems on the aircraft, on the spacecraft. One is for liquid and one is for solid. Now,
Oh, God.
he said, so it's only urine that they have to wear a diaper. But they have to wear a diaper. You're right, Gloria, when you said about me. 20 hours, that'd be me. I'd have to change my diaper.
Oh, well, they all have to change their diapers.
Oh, I guess
would
they
imagine.
do, right?
Okay. This is a little TMI. I think.
I thought this was your favorite subject, Sloan. Potty
Potty
humor.
humor.
No.
Oh, we got that wrong? You don't love potty humor? That's so weird.
I am not a fan.
All right, moving on.
Amy's turn.
Phew.
I think there's a major news in the world today.
Well, do share.
And that finally this infrastructure bill was passed.
Finally.
I mean, I think that's huge. I think
it's
that
huge,
this
too.
has been a friggin' nightmare the last few weeks. And I already discussed that on our last podcast about the jerks that were trying to become famous, which they now are, for obstruction and holding this up. But anyway, finally, it was passed last night. So I think that's
a
we can
kudos,
finally
too.
Yeah.
move forward.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
New York is getting a lot of money. They so need it. So
Yes,
need it.
everybody does. Every state, whether
right.
they'll use it for the right things.
I know. I
Yeah,
mean,
that's
that's
a whole
the hard.
other
That's
story.
a whole other story.
God knows in
Right.
California, we don't use money for
Yes.
things we need, like holes in the
Right.
road.
Oh, yeah.
and-
So
Or
sad.
Texas,
yeah.
disgusting.
Oh, I can't tell you how many flat tires I have gotten and I don't go to construction sites. I have gotten things.
lately,
Or don't tell anybody, but maybe sometimes I stop by.
just to
say
get
hi.
that, just to get that nail in your tire.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. The roads are
Yeah.
kind of bad.
Horrible.
Yeah,
Horrible.
they were bad.
Well, do you want to hear what I read that's really cute that was in The Guardian,
Yeah, what?
the English paper this week?
What?
How Ed Sheeran gets his baby up.
Oh, yeah.
Well, the baby probably wakes up first because she's only 14 months old. And he goes downstairs, I'm guessing it's downstairs, and makes the baby porridge, oatmeal,
Oh,
and then puts on Black Sabbath vinyl for the baby to listen
I
to.
love it. I
How
think that's
cute.
unbelievable.
cute?
He said that he's gotten, during the pandemic, really got back into vinyl.
Yeah.
And he likes to play albums for her, and she has her own favorite albums of Black Sabbath.
Paranoid.
Right.
How cute is
But
that?
but wait a second. There's a whole resurgence of Black Sabbath because didn't Kanye West, Kim Kardashian's daughter, also
Yes.
have a thing for Black
Yes.
Sabbath? And she's
Kim
four?
said that on Ellen. Yeah.
4 or 5?
I love
Yeah,
that.
I love that.
Is there a resurgence, or I mean, it's Black
They're just
Sabbath.
always there.
They're just
They
always there.
That's,
Yeah,
that's funny.
But that's the
but they
sad
are.
part. I mean, they can keep listening to these albums, but don't you think they need to go back on tour?
Those kids?
No.
Kim Kardashian.
Yes, perfectly fine. Kanye, yes.
Black Sabbath? No.
No.
No. Why?
Because.
Yeah, and people think like Guns N' Roses was a big deal.
No.
I love
Gary
Guns N'
Butler.
Roses.
Let's
No,
go.
thanks.
Yeah, let's go.
Never.
Wouldn't we could get a
Well,
girls
Glo,
tour
that
bus?
might free you up for a little bit of time anyway.
If we went
yeah.
back on
We
tour.
sent
that's true.
sent the boys off.
That's
That's
true.
true.
Right?
That's true.
Well,
and we could get an extra bus just for us, and we could podcast on the road with Black Sabbath.
Yes,
I don't know. I
yes.
feel some ideas
I
coming.
think we
it's a
should
good
just
idea.
put them all the guys in a tour bus and send them to like Bryce Canyon
That's a good idea.
that kind of thing.
How
That'd be
about
fun.
to space for a few days?
Here you go.
Sure.
Let them
or that.
try out the diapers.
With
Le rocket ship. Bye-bye.
Call Jeff Bezos.
Did you want to talk about food?
I always want to talk about food. I don't
course
really
you
have
do.
a particular thing in mind
I-
other than
yeah.
I have been reading that the pandemic has really surged vegan food or plant-based food. We don't have to say like a whole vegan diet, but a plant-based diet because of production, and it's so much better for the earth. Did you know that's the number one contributing factor to global
Yes.
warming is
Oh,
cows?
absolutely.
Yes.
Is like
Absolutely.
factory farming.
Yes.
Not to mention, just a little awareness
Methane.
about where people's food comes from is very, very important, and getting away from factory farming. But I love food.
I know you do.
Me too.
I also love sweet tarts, so it's not like I have such a refined palate, but
girls,
I do appreciate excellent food.
Me too.
Okay.
And
Me
Cheetos.
too.
Did you read-
Quality.
Did you read
Yes.
that Coldplay urged to make world tour fully vegan?
I love that.
Their world tour fully
Did they
vegan.
do it?
I guess they're working on it.
I love
Have they
that.
been
No,
on
but they
tour?
can do it. I mean, they travel
Yeah.
with their own caterers.
It's
They
their-
travel with
yeah.
vegan
Who read,
caterers.
who read the article about Woody
Yeah, they're
Harrelson?
not beating me.
Me.
What was it?
Woody Harrelson and Owen Wilson have invested in a vegan food line.
Like a vegan meat,
Meat,
or
yeah.
vegan
Meat, yeah.
protein.
Didn't
Vegan
you talk about
protein
this
line.
before? You wanted to invest in one of the vegan
Well,
meat.
I did by way of buying stock. but I
Yeah.
didn't-
What about, what's it called? Abbott's something? Is that what it's called? Did I just make
Yeah.
that up?
No,
Abbott's
Abbott-
Butcher
yes,
or
that's
something?
exactly what it's called.
That's what it's called.
Yes. And now you can get it at Whole Foods and Bristol Farms, and I
Oh,
want
it
to try
already
it.
exists?
Well, online it said,
Oh.
yes, it does exist.
I missed that part.
Yeah. Online, there's a links to where you can get it all
Oh,
over the
that's
country,
great.
Yeah,
I
so
think.
this we're doing a commercial now for.
I
Let's
guess
do
we
that.
are. I guess we are.
Oh, that's funny.
And
We're
by the
gonna have-
way, Owen Wilson is from Dallas. I know
I love
his
him.
mother.
I love him.
that means Luke Wilson
Yeah.
is from Dallas too.
I love him too.
That's right.
No.
And
Something
his
great.
brother
Or
Andrew.
different- They could
And
have
what?
both.
His brother Andrew
there's
was
three
in my
boys.
brother's high
Oh.
school class.
Oh, I don't know Andrew. He's not an actor, or
Yeah.
is he?
No, he's a writer.
Oh,
Strictly.
okay.
Does-
Okay. Talented fam.
That's nice.
Yes.
Good genes.
We have a guest today.
We have a great guest today. So today we're going to be talking to Craig Susser, a Hollywood celebrity in his own right, owning and running arguably the biggest and best celebrity restaurant spot in Los Angeles, Craig's. Having cut his teeth at Dantana's, the old school place to be, so 5 minutes ago. Craig opened his own restaurant in 2011, and it seems like he skyrocketed to the top overnight. His restaurant is a place to see and be seen. It's a home away from home, and the food. That menu can satisfy absolutely anyone in Los Angeles, and that is a monster feat in and of itself. It's no wonder that Craig's is the place to go every night of the week, but I don't need to talk about it too much because we are about to with the man, the myth, the legend himself. A man who knows how to go with the flow, all while keeping his nose firmly pressed to the grindstone. Our friend, Craig Susser.
Think she likes him?
Yay!
Yay!
We like him. We love Craig. Here's Craig. Welcome, welcome.
We started even before.
Well, that's what we do.
So, Craig,
Yes.
tell us about your life.
Don't. That's so
Start
In 25 words
from
or
the
less.
beginning.
We know that you were born in Brooklyn, and we know you came from New Jersey.
Born
But
a poor child in Brooklyn. Born in Brooklyn, grew up in Cherry Hill, New Jersey, moved when I was 14, and a really tough time to move, which is
that's a hard time for a boy.
fascinating. As I've gone through some therapy and looked at my life, to spend 2 or 3 years by yourself at 14, 15, and 16 because you're the new kid in town. And so I would go to school, I'd come home, I'd watch TV. I was basically kind of by myself. And now to jump 25, 30 years later and go, oh, you're like this little social butterfly.
Yeah.
And you're, kind of the ringleader of this party every night is kind of amazing. I mean, you think about that, it's like, wow.
It
It's
is.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah,
though.
so
Wait,
Yeah.
what year did you leave New Jersey?
let's see. So we moved in 1978 and then spent some time by myself here. It was, looking back on it, and I say this to my wife about our kids, when they're struggling with something, I say, well, hopefully they'll grow that muscle that'll make them stronger in that area.
You're also
Great.
lucky your kids have each other. You have twins.
Yeah, they do, which, most of the time they love each other, but you're also sharing everything.
Right.
And so that brings up a bunch of different muscles, but we can jump to that later.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Were you an only child?
no, I'm one of three. I'm the youngest, but I'm kind of an only child because my brothers are 5 and 7 years older.
Right.
We've gotten
I was.
a little closer now, but I was essentially an only child. We moved to LA, and I was the only one that moved because the other two were already in college.
Oh, then you were alone.
Yeah, right. So then went to college, and that's when it kind of reemerged. That's when I joined a fraternity, and all of a sudden I had a little bit of a social life, and then I fell into an acting class on South Robertson and was amazed with all these people that were actually working. This was one of those workshops that,
Was that Stuart Robinson?
No, it was a guy named Sal Dano. It was
Okay.
so, you go to a lot of acting places and it's a bunch of actors that aren't working.
Yeah.
This one they were all working.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa, look, you're here, and you're here, and you're here. And this was just a place they worked out in. And then, so I was 18 or 19 and I kind of fell in love with it. And the best way to put yourself through college and acting classes is to, get a waiter's job.
Yeah.
And then I learned very quickly that if you want to make more money, you better look for better places to work.
Yep.
So I just kept I like to call it failing upwards in something that I didn't really want to do.
Yeah.
So acting wasn't working out. It was working out in that I loved doing it and it was fulfilling.
You're a good actor. I know.
Thank you. But as that acting coach said to me, I hope you got something to do for the next 20 years because you're not baked. You're not one of those guys that's going to get a bunch of work at 22 or 23. You'll get work in your 40s. And he was absolutely right.
Oh, I mean, there's been a lot of acting teachers that have told, at Boston University, they told Faye Dunaway that she'd never work.
Yeah.
I mean, there's people that have said that.
No. It wasn't. He goes, no, you've got it.
Oh. But
You've got it.
just
You're
later.
a great
You need to
actor.
mature.
You're just your face, your mannerisms, your body. He used to like to say, you're not an interesting person until you've been hit by a few trucks.
Oh.
You've got to, then it gives you a perspective on things.
Right.
And I was just this
Yeah, I get that.
I was just this little kid that.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
but I had the actual innate instincts.
Weren't
So
you in
we-
acting class with Amy?
Yeah. Well,
That's how
that
we
was later
met.
on. Yeah, that was later on. Though.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
was probably 10 years after what I'm talking about. So worked at a great Mexican restaurant called Antonio's.
I love it.
That was one of my first jobs.
Where? Is that still around?
Yeah,
It
yeah,
was
yeah.
on Melrose, right?
Yeah, it was the first upscale Mexican restaurant.
Okay.
I don't
know,
mean
with
to
the-
interrupt you, but do you know who Elaine Goldsmith Thomas is?
Yeah.
Okay. Every single time she would want to go out to eat, she'd make us go to Antonio's.
Oh my
Every
God, it was
time.
so good.
Every
By the way, that was the first time I ever came across somebody that there was a waiter there that taught me the skills of actually being a waiter.
Oh.
The real hospitality. He had the moves. His name was Rudy. Great guy. And then the acting class that I was in would go to celebrate certain things. When somebody booked a really big job, we would go to this place called Dan Tana's. And the first time I went to Tana's, I had $6.50 in my pocket. And even back then, I mean, a light beer. That's all that I could have. So
Yeah.
I was really embarrassed, and I ordered a light beer, and then I made an excuse, and I left. And it was it was my first experience, but I didn't.
That's sad.
Well, no, but I didn't want to be one of those people that, and they ordered dinner and they don't have the money, and then they just figure somebody else will pay for it, and I just that wasn't me. So for whatever reason, I got friendly with Jimmy the maitre d', and I knew Mike the bartender, and I think one Saturday night after my shift God, where was I coming from? Sorry, I was coming from work, and I went over there and I had a drink with them, and they said, "Have you ever been a bartender?" And I said, "No," and they said, "Perfect." And I'm like, "What do you mean?" They're like, "We'd rather somebody that doesn't have any habits than somebody that has bad habits."
Oh.
Interesting.
And so I was 22. They gave me a bottle of vodka that was empty. They said, "Fill it with water, be able to pour a shot without looking, and we'll figure it out." And they literally put me behind the bar. I had no business being behind the bar, but my personality saved me. So I was always 3 steps behind, sweat pouring down my face, not knowing what I'm doing.
But everybody liked you.
But there was something they liked. I'm not sure what they liked, but they certainly loved abusing me because that was part of the
That's
tennis.
good for you.
It was part of the tennis culture.
Yeah.
I mean, I was the first guy they hired in 6 years, and I literally remember going like I put on a tuxedo. I went to the table. I said, "Good evening. What can I get for you?" And they said, "The other waiter."
Oh, I like that.
No.
No joke.
Oh my gosh.
Not kidding.
That's how you learn.
And
Great line.
Yeah, exactly.
and I literally said, no, seriously, what can I get you to drink? They're like, fuck off.
Oh,
I'm like,
that's how you grow.
That sounds like Succession.
oh my God.
Yeah, it
No,
does.
it was like 6 months of that.
Whoa.
Shit.
Who are you? What are you doing here? Why are you here?
Character building. That's
I mean,
total
I used to go home.
character
I used to
building.
go home in tears.
Oh.
But then, I think they slowly start to break you, and then you become one of them.
Right.
It's a
And
very
then-
abusive,
Oh my God.
non-healthy way to
No,
way to
but-
be.
but
So
then-
kids,
but, it's a very different way.
Yeah.
You're talking about 30 years ago.
Yeah,
This is
yeah.
that behavior that kind of would never,
yeah,
happen today. But I got to say, it kind of made me who I am, and I also realize my work ethic, how I handle people, hospitality,
Yeah.
my innate instincts on just how to do certain things. Like, it got me ready for COVID, because when COVID happened and nobody had any answers, I instinctively knew what to do, even though I wasn't sure.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of baked in, because you make certain choices when there is no choice but to survive. And so all of that training and all of that stuff kind of came flooding back. So eventually you become one of the crew. So, I was a waiter, a bartender, and then I just kind of, like I kept saying, failing upwards in that business. Then I started getting some acting work.
yeah.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden I was getting I was on Ocean's 12 and Get Smart and Be Cool and
Was that in our class or after?
I think it was kind of during that time, or a little bit after. I kind of started to become me, if that makes any sense.
Find
With all that
yourself.
character
Yeah.
building.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then, because I also knew everybody, and what I didn't realize is part a good movie set or a TV set is harmony and not wasting money. So they always want people on set that they can rely on. And so everybody started to get to know me. And then as I would get jobs and I would do like 2 takes and we were moving on, they were like, oh my God, he's great. And he knows everybody. He's easy to have on set. So then I would just start getting these phone calls like,
Yeah.
I got 10 lines. Can you come over on Tuesday? I'm like, what's it for? It doesn't matter. Don't worry about
We
it.
we always say that the people that can make you or break you are like the crew, and the people that they can make sure that you don't get a job or that you do.
Right. So
Yeah.
what I learned was, look, you're spending 18 hours a day with people. Let's have some fun
Yeah.
and be a pro and nail it. And the thing that they want to do is move on, because they've got
Yeah.
so
Right.
much to do. Don't be the problem.
That's
Right.
right.
So that's kind of like, I think I did 7 or 8 different things on the OC. Josh would call me all the time. Every time he had a problem. I was
Are
4.
these Dantana's days?
Yeah, well,
yeah.
I had 4 different parts in one episode.
Oh my God.
Oh, that's so good.
It's like,
Mental note, find that episode.
yeah, no, but it was great. It was a lot of fun. And so they just I started getting hired because I was good at what I did and I was fun and I had someplace to go. I was like, are we done? I got to go to work, you know? And literally, and they'd be like, I love this guy. It's great.
Yeah.
So everybody else is like, is there something else I can do? Can we elongate this a little bit?
Yeah,
you know?
right,
And I'm
right.
like, are we done?
Do you want to see my tap dance?
Yeah, yeah.
Do you want to see my shimmy?
They're like, Craig, well, we're just going to come in for a focus. I'm like, I don't, the long shot's good.
Yeah.
You're good. I think you got it.
You got it. We're good. Just crop in.
They're
Just
like,
crop in.
who is
It's
this
fine.
guy? I love him. Get him out of here. See, that's when I kind of took over as the maitre d' at Tana's. It was 2003. I took over, and the only image I can give people is it's like dropping a fish into water. I don't know how I knew how to do it, but I knew how to do it, and I was really good at it.
But Craig, being a Jersey boy and a Brooklyn born, don't you think that was kind of perfect? You were perfect for that?
Yeah, I do. There's a sensibility and like a wit and a quickness.
Right.
But you actually have to enjoy people. You actually have
Right.
to enjoy the process. And I just have the ability of seeing a room of, 50 or 75 people and knowing where they should sit, how to make order out of
Right.
chaos. And I still do it today. Like last night, thankfully, we were packed. And
Always,
what
by the way.
makes
Yeah.
Always.
what
Always.
makes people anxious actually makes me calm. I'm like, oh, bar's 4 deep. There's a ton of people. I'm like,
Right.
oh, they should go over there. They should go over there. Oh, I wonder if those 4 people know each other. Let me put them next to each other. Like you kind of like start arranging a room, and it makes me calm where others can get really like anxiety ridden.
I want to go back. I want us to go back in time, but I wish that you could read this whole email exchange between me, Tony Howard, Sherry Lansing, and Diane Warren, where we have a reservation.
By the way, wow.
we
Talk about being in a press.
Seriously.
We have a reservation at Craig's because, of course, that's where we want to go because we always want to go. See, I'm promoting it.
I love
But
it.
anyway, so then it's like, well, Tony, of course, Diane and I were like, whatever, we just got the reservation. Tony, where should we sit? Sherry, where do you want to sit? Sherry, well, as long as everybody's vaccinated and we're kind of outside, I'm good. Tony,
Okay.
I want to sit in the back. Sherry, do you want to sit in the back? Sherry, what about that booth in the corner that fits 6 people? Can we have that? Tony, Risa, can your office call and get the booth in the corner with us? I'm telling you, it's like 3, it's so many divas.
If I showed you my phone
Oh my God.
and the text, can I get a table?
Oh, God.
Yeah. Okay. What day? Then I have to go, what time?
Yeah.
Then I have to ask them, how many? And then they're like, thank you. Literally 30 minutes later. Can I have table 7?
Oh, yeah.
I'm like,
Oh, no. Oh, my God.
wait, yes wasn't good enough? I
Right.
want to sit inside. I want to sit outside. I want to sit over here. I want to sit over there.
Sorry.
And then they get there. No, then they get there and they realize that so-and-so's somewhere else and they'd really like to sit next to them. And they're like, oh, don't want to sit inside because of COVID. Oh, don't want to sit outside because of COVID. Like, but that's not what it's about. It's about who they saw.
Yeah,
where-
of
you
course.
know,
Sure.
Of course.
It's the greatest place. And again, we need to go back in time. But do you remember when I was starting out in the entertainment business, Kevin Uvain and I, right, worked at William Morris in New York. And it wouldn't be abnormal for us, like 10 o'clock at night. He'd call me 10, 10:30, 11 o'clock and say, do you want to go to Columbus? Columbus was a place that you always wanted to go. You always saw people that you know and loved. It was always friendly. It was a great atmosphere. That's what Craig's is.
Oh, thank you. That's a big compliment. So, and that's what I missed during COVID. Like, so
Yeah.
you'd walk through the restaurant and it would be completely empty and silent. We were doing a lot of food to go and stuff, but that was what would bring tears to my eyes. Like, because now you can hear the
Yes.
conversations, you can see the table hopping. People are genuinely happy to see each other. We're all social animals, and that's what really Craig's is all about. It's about hospitality. It's about bringing people together. Food is incredibly important, but it is about creating that vibe.
Don't you
It's
find?
kind of 21 too, like in New York. It's
Yeah. Yeah,
it's
but by the way,
kind of clubby feeling.
okay, so that's interesting. So my dad was in the garment business, and we used to go to places in Manhattan, and we were at the 21 Club once. I was like, I don't know, 7 or 8, and I go, why do they have a cheeseburger in such a fancy place? And he used to say to me, every great restaurant needs a great cheeseburger.
Oh, yeah.
And that's why there's a cheeseburger on the menu at the restaurant.
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
Amy was
Oh,
saying
that's
that.
so
Amy
sweet.
was saying that no matter who you are, you get a great meal at Craig's, no matter what your appetite
Right.
is.
No matter what
You're
your diet
vegan
is.
or-
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It can,
And a big stiff drink. Like, you know, I
Yes.
love the old school, you know, where you got a big stiff drink and hot bread and like, yeah, I'm home.
yeah.
And I
that
think a
bread.
And if you're Diane, you
Oh my
get 10
God.
baskets of that hot bread, half to take home.
Half in your
As
purse.
you're flipping me off.
What? Yeah.
Oh yeah, she'll come in.
But that's the way she says hello to me,
Yes, it is.
which is I adore.
A freezer full of Craig's that never runs out is a dessert lover's dream. Make it a reality. Stock up on all your favorite flavors and never go empty-spooned again.
So here's a question. In today's world of cancel culture, and I'm sure you have guests that have been canceled. Every industry has canceled. So what happens? They come into the restaurant, and they've been coming there for years, but now they're canceled.
Right. So
Will you serve a canceled person?
Oh, that's terrible.
You can't not serve a canceled person. My question really is, assuming you will serve a canceled person, are you just as warm and fuzzy as you would have been before they were canceled?
Do you have a back room that you can put them in?
The idea of me
I
being
think there's
the idea of me being in a blender right now is like, I don't know why I have that in my head. Well,
Great.
Okay. First of all, no. My job is to not make judgments on anybody.
Of course not.
At any time on anything. If you are seeing somebody and it's inappropriate, if you're doing something, it's not my job to make a judgment. It's my job to feed you and take care of you.
right.
You might be going through a horrible time in your life, and I'm here to help you. You might be going through a great time in your life, and we're here to celebrate. So that's one of the things that I love about the restaurant. And I think you stand by friends through thick and thin. And that's
I agree.
loyalty, and that's love. And that's when you really know when the chips are down, that's when you know who's standing beside you. Now, that doesn't mean that I will agree with what you did. I'm not making, that's a different subject. But if somebody comes in, very, very few people would I say no to that have been through some issues. There are a couple people that have been through some significant issues, and I'm like, they deserve it, and I'm glad it's happening. There's other people, it's like, oh, you're kind of getting swept up in something that, So I think most people that have gone through that genuinely isolate themselves a little bit.
Yeah.
That's true
Naturally,
too.
anyway.
No, that's true too.
We don't really have too many of those issues, but when they've decided to reemerge, as long as the law says it's okay, I mean, our job is to take care of people.
We say the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, I've reached out to some people and said, look, you're going through what you're going through, right, wrong, or indifferent. I just wanted to reach out and see if you're okay.
Good for you.
Yeah.
And you know
Good
what?
for
They
you.
appreciate it so much more. That's a really important thing to do in our world, in any world.
Yeah.
Like people that lose their jobs, that's when they need you the most.
Yeah, I mean, look, we've all been in bad spots, and I think that's life, and hopefully we all grow from it. It's a really sticky time.
Yeah, we've all said things we
Where-
shouldn't have.
Yeah.
And now it's like,
But think about it. Our behaviors and things from 20, 30, 40, 50, 60
yeah.
years ago, like,
That's ridiculous.
we've all grown. Like, you look at some movies that were made 30 years ago, and you kind of, I mean, you literally can't help but look at it differently than you do now. But I've
But at the
grown.
time you
I've
laughed.
learned something. I understand people's perspectives better. I understand that that's not appropriate. Okay, that's growth. I'm a fan of all of that. And then going back to the way I was talked to when I first became a server, it would never happen. If anybody talked to one of my servers today like that, we would have an issue.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, we all kind of move, but then there's this whole thing in the culture that I'm questioning, and it's called work ethic. And I'm a little concerned that my dad used to say to me, if you want something,
Do it yourself.
go to work.
Oh.
And if you're not, and if you're not getting it, work harder.
Yeah.
And I don't
Craig,
know
that
if
doesn't
that's
exist
happening.
now. No, because these millennials, I hate that word. I don't even know what it means. Everybody leaves school now and they want to go. They think they should be the president of the company.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to start in a mailroom anymore. Nobody wants to.
Gloria.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to work. That's
That
a real
too.
issue for restaurants.
Yeah, no,
too.
we've had a really hard time.
Yeah.
Getting servers?
Okay, so going back to COVID, I don't know why we always go back, but we're gonna go back. So we go back to COVID. It starts. I decide to keep all of our employees. Right, we're not letting go of anybody.
Nice.
We're doing it because it's the right thing to do. You can't say that like, oh, you're family and I love you only during the good times. It's also like why you reach out to a friend that's having a horrible moment. You can't just be a cheerleader when times are great.
Right.
It's always easy to reach out to your friend who's got a #1 movie.
Oh, yeah.
It's really hard to reach out to the guy or the woman that's made 20 flops in a row.
Yeah.
COVID, we keep everybody on. I'm actually putting money in their paychecks in lieu of tips. We're doing the right thing. But what I didn't see coming out of it was that there would be an employee shortage. So
It's
I'm just
incredible.
right. So I'm just fortunate that I kept everybody. I did it for a completely other reason. I
Did it
didn't
for the right reason.
Right, but then when we come out of it and you can't find employees, and I'm not talking about minimum wage jobs. I'm talking about really good, well-paying jobs. Nobody wants to work.
No, we know this. That's what's happened to the airlines. That's what's happened to restaurants. That's
But why is that? It's not like nobody.
Well, because
nobody
the government did take care of people for a while.
for a long time, but didn't
now
that all
that
stop?
ended, didn't it?
Yeah, but I there's something bigger going on. I think people have reevaluated what they want from their lives, what they're willing to do. When I was growing up, the idea of getting my license, getting a car, getting my job, getting my own apartment, maybe buying a house one day, like those were all things that were goals of mine.
Yeah.
I know kids now that don't even want to get their driver's license.
I know. I don't
too.
understand that. I don't get that.
So some things
agree.
changed in our culture, and I am no expert. I got no clue as to what or why. And we've got a lot of really good, hardworking employees that are making a great living and feeding their families and making enough money to go ahead and attempt their dream. So for, let's just say, a pasta line cook, if we put it up at $18 or $19 to start 3-4 years ago, we'd probably have 10 or 15 applications. We put up a job at $28 an hour and got no resumes.
Oh my God. That's unbelievable.
Zero.
No, that's terrible.
It took us 4 weeks to fill the position. So it's not money. It's
Already
not
filled?
Yeah.
It
Yeah,
sounded good to
seriously.
me.
Like, wait, I'm a great cook.
By the way, you get to eat
good.
as well.
That's
And,
right.
but it is
Good place
not,
to
by the
be.
way, it's not for the faint of heart. It is
Yeah.
hard work.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
but I'm like, well, hey,
That's crazy.
what's literally changed in the culture? So it's a longer conversation, and I think there's probably people that are much better equipped to handle it. But something's
wrong.
something's different.
You know what, though? Don't you think that your restaurant has grown after COVID? Because now you have, aside from the restaurant part, that you have this amazing back part and an amazing front part and the restaurant.
Yeah, so it goes back to, I don't care what happens, we're going to survive, and I'm going to figure out a way to do it. So back in, it was May. So we're 3 months into COVID. We're literally hemorrhaging money. Because we're doing a lot of to-go, and everybody's being really supportive and sweet, and it's their way of supporting the restaurant. The thing is, we decided to keep 100% of the employees. Well, on food to go, I only need 60% of the employees.
Right.
So we're losing 6 figures a month, and we can't possibly do more food to go. But okay, we're good. And then this is where the weird part of it comes in. As soon as they said something about patios, we're like, we should build a patio. And not only should we build a patio, but instead of just putting out some rugs and some, and just building something that didn't look or feel like Craig's. A couple of the employees came to me and came up with some suggestions, and we decided to build a structure. We went through the city, we went through the approvals, we got all the safety and all that stuff. But we spent 6 figures on a back patio.
It's awesome.
And then we expanded it. I said to Chef, okay, look into the future. If we've got the patio and then we open up inside, you've still got the same square footage of the kitchen. How do we handle a bigger place? And he goes, we need more firepower in the same space. So we redid the kitchen equipment. We spent $180,000 in the kitchen. We spent $250 on the patio, and I was the one writing the checks because there was no money because we were losing money. And there were literally people saying, somebody stop him because he's going to hurt himself. Something's wrong with him. And I'm like, no, I can see it. I can literally see the future. And if
Craig, do you need any new investors?
No, but I'm like, you have to prepare for success. You have to prepare for the future.
You're so right.
And everybody was saying, oh my God, you're spending money when you're losing a ton of money. And I'm like, but it's got to turn around. And so thank God we did, because back in a good spot. But so the other is every success brings problems, right? So now we've got double the size, same size kitchen. How do you push out that much food? You have to hire more employees. So we're probably 25 or 30 employees bigger, but now you've got supply chain issues and inflation issues. So everything's more expensive. You can't get anything. You can't get glasses. You can't get silverware. You can't get dishwasher. You can't, there's crab, calamari. We ran out of plant-based crab cakes the other day. Like, you just can't get stuff, and everything's 20 and 30% more expensive. So everything has its pluses and minuses, but it's a stressful time, and everybody says, "Oh my God, you must be killing it." They say, "Yeah, we're making more money, but you got to remember, for a year, we didn't make any money."
Have your prices gone up?
A little bit, but I don't want to be that reactionary. In other words, I think this might just be temporary, and I think that prices might come back down and the supply chain might open again.
Well, supposedly there's ships that are stuck and.
Yeah, well, I don't think that they can get enough people to
They
work.
can't get people to
And
load
then
the
drive the
ships.
trucks. But it
Yeah, they're offering $100,000 signing bonus for people to be truck drivers.
well,
So
Amy,
I've got so many new career paths in my mind.
So how do you create that environment? And I always say to them, it's like a good stew, right? You need older people, you need middle-aged people, you need young people, you need people with money, and you need people that can barely afford it. And somehow my job is to collect regulars, honestly. That's literally the way I define it, right? So I set the tone, I set the vision for the place, and Chef Kirsten's amazing, and we work on the food together, and like, the weather's changing. And I'm like, oh, you know what I'm in the mood for? And I'm like, I think other people are in the mood for that. What do you think? And he's like, yeah, that sounds good. Then I'm like, well, what's fresh in the market? And he'll tell me, and I'm like, okay, well, why don't we make this or try that? And then we just try different dishes, and then we see what works. But during every season, like in April, I'll be like, oh, I'm in the mood for peas.
I love peas.
You know what I mean? But yeah, but different,
You do
you know.
love peas.
But
I
you,
know that about you.
we all as humans want different things. That, like somebody said to me the other day, they're like, you don't do a soup of the day. It's always the vegan vegetable soup. I'm like, yeah, in the spring and the summer. But when the weather changes, when it gets cold in LA, frigid, like 55.
Freezing. Like we're in our sweatshirts in the studio right now.
No, I mean,
It's freezing
are you
outside.
kidding
It's
me?
like 70
I mean,
today.
well, people, they're crazy. So we'll start to like do interesting soups and stuff like that. Or then you get around the holidays and you start doing like things that you just kind of crave and we make those adjustments. And then my job is to kind of, as I'm talking to people and working the room, kind of figure out, I'm like, you've met so many assistants that you're like, I don't know what's going to happen to you, but it's going to work.
Oh yeah.
And I want to stay in your world. I want you in my world.
Right.
And so it's the same thing in the restaurant business. So it's like, I don't know who you are. I don't know what you do. You could make furniture. You could, whatever it is but I like you. There's something about you. You've got a great energy. And I know that this isn't your regular deal yet, but it's going to be soon. And then we just become friends. And I want people to feel that it's accessible. And we get this, I don't know, everybody thinks it's like this celebrity hotspot. Well,
No, there's a lot of celebrities.
but the reason it is because people love a hug. They love the warmth. They love good food. They love good service. And they want to see people that they know. And so I always say it's like it's a regular neighborhood joint. It just happens to be in a really interesting neighborhood.
Right.
Craig.
It is like a regular
Wait,
neighborhood.
hold on. I
joint.
have a very important question.
Okay.
I want to be a regular. I want to hug you. I want to hug you at least once a week.
I love
But
this.
I could never get in.
Okay, so here's
I have to text Amy nonstop. She still couldn't get me in.
I did get you in.
No, I know. We didn't know.
we didn't say I didn't say no to
I
Amy.
have to
There's
call
zero chance I
and-
said no to Amy.
She did.
I
He didn't.
call Bruce and Lily. I call the Rudermans. I call Amy. I call
Wow.
everyone. I can still never get
You're
in.
triangulating. I like this.
Yes.
All right, so here's the dirty little secret, and it's going to be so
Yes.
obvious. It's
And I want to
crazy.
be a regular.
Okay, listen. He's going to tell you.
I will give you the secret. And by the way, this works for any restaurant, anywhere in the country or the world.
Go ahead.
Take the 5:30s and 6 o'clocks. Take the 9 and 9:30s in the beginning. Get to know
time I eat,
Get
5:30.
Seriously. Do you have a 4?
Get to know the servers. Get to know the maitre d's.
Yeah.
Get to know the hosts. Look, our job is to accept reservations from people that are good to have in the restaurant. So the minute they're like, "Oh, you're Amy," okay, I got a face, I got a name. You guys had a good time at the table. It was busy. You were like, it was like a couple of hours. You looked up and said, "Do you guys need a table? We're happy to go to the bar and have a drink." You're like, "I think I love you." Like, good. Give them access. Then it's
Even
all.
a month ahead of time, I have to book a 5:30 reservation.
Can't even make a reservation a month ahead of time.
Yeah.
You can only make it
Okay,
2 weeks
two-
ahead of
But
time.
by the way,
Oh,
so
God.
people ask me why you make it only 2 weeks ahead of time, and we started that during COVID
That's
because
smart.
they keep changing the rules. So I don't want to have to go back to you like, let's, God forbid this doesn't happen, but we have another wave.
Yeah.
Something happens, and all of a sudden I can't seat inside,
Yeah.
or something changes, and that's why we started this like 2 week. I don't know what the rules are as they go, but yeah, take the
But it's
early, take
smart.
the late, get to know the maitre d's, get to know the servers, and then all of a sudden on your way out the door, you say to Peter, Patty, Nick, me, "Hey, this is my name. I love this place. We had such a good time. I want to be able
I've
to
said
come."
it.
You know what your real success is? Because you are there.
Yeah.
You are
Yeah.
present. You make it a family.
Yeah. Well,
Totally.
I am lucky, but I also enjoy what I do. And I think that comes off. It's a spirit of, I really do enjoy people. And I love the table hopping. And I love to watch people run into people that they haven't seen in a year and a half. And it's that moment. I have a little trick that I do. I try to watch people's first bites. All right. So you make an automatic, you have a facial expression or a bodily, like, when you eat something and it's good, you have a reaction.
Yeah.
And as long as you don't know that nobody's watching, people will do it. So I
Give us
generally,
an example of one. Let's
well,
see.
no.
I
So,
can do it.
Okay, let's see.
If
well,
this is
she
a
can
Craig's
do it.
thing,
She's a pro. Look at her.
you just do like a little.
There's a little moment, even while you're talking. You're just like,
Yeah.
you take a bite, you're like, "Oh, it's great." And then anyway,
Yeah.
blah, 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 blah. So it's
Oh,
like,
my God.
so I generally come to the table knowing already that dinner's good. And then we're just chit-chatting about life and what's going on.
Dinner's
But,
always
like,
good.
I know generally when something's not functioning.
Like when you see somebody send their dish
Yeah,
back, it's not a good time
also,
to go over.
but I look for anomalies. Like I'm all about like I will scan the room and go, something's not right over there. So I'll look at a table and I'll be like, 3 people have entrees, 1 person doesn't. So I just walk over and I go, what happened?
Yeah.
And they're like, oh no, I'm intermittent fasting. I'm not having an entree. Or oh, they got it wrong. No big deal. They're fixing it. I'm like, cool. It's not about the error. It's all about how you fix the error.
Yeah.
No, having the owner there is
But again,
huge.
yes,
It
having
is
the owner
huge.
and you caring is what's the most important.
And you have a good team. Like the energy of
God.
the team.
Oh my
all
God,
of
yeah.
these
Oh, yeah.
people are so great.
And so they all know
Yeah.
that they can, that here are the rules of the road.
Yeah.
But then you can have your own personality. Like I hate the restaurants where you go and they're all kind of like robots.
Yeah.
They all say
Right.
the same thing. So they're all very interesting. Some are newer, some are older, some are more experienced, some are not. Like I love all of that. And it's interesting to watch because now we've got a lot more servers. Like we used to have 6 server stations. Now we have 12 server
You have
stations.
the restaurant's so much bigger now.
Yeah.
It's bigger and it's packed.
Oh
I
my
mean,
God.
you've opened this front patio, a back
So
patio.
it takes
Everything's
me,
packed.
it literally, people laugh. I was sitting with somebody, some friends of mine, and I said, hey, I'm going to go do a lap. And they go, what does that mean? I go, I got to go talk to every table. It was like 7:45 at night. And they're like, wait, you do that? I'm like,
at your wedding.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I got up. It was like 7:45. I came back. It was like 8:40. And they're like, what? I go, no, that's how long it took me to go and do
talk to everyone.
like what I do. But I think it makes a difference. I think it's personal. I think it's and it's
Mm-hmm.
fun, and I get to learn. And I meet some couple from Oklahoma that's on a trip, or I see some regulars that I haven't seen in a while, and it's kind of interesting.
After a spoonful from one of Craig's Vegan's pints, we often hear, wait, that's vegan? And we get it. It's hard for some people to imagine something this delicious coming from all natural, kosher, gluten-free, and dairy-free ingredients. Life is full of nice surprises like that.
What I love is that people love Craig's because we cater to your whims and your ideas, and we do make like special dishes. And I like that. Like,
I'm so excited to go there and get clam chowder.
yeah. So tonight, yeah.
Is it
Tonight's a bit-
vegan?
Yeah.
No.
Yes, it is. They have vegan clam
Did you
chowder
literally
too.
ask me if clam chowder was vegan? And you wonder why you can't get a reservation?
No, she's kidding.
Wait a minute.
No, I'm kidding.
There is clam chowder made with oyster mushrooms.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And you
There
can
is.
make it.
No,
yes.
no, I'm just
There
giving you a
is.
hard time. No, we've got vegan crab cakes on the menu.
That's so
Yes.
good.
And they're unbelievably good. So we're slowly.
And I just couldn't imagine that Ms. Butler would eat the real.
She
clam
wasn't
I was
there.
chowder.
just asking. And it was a joke
Okay.
because
You said
some
I'm
of
gonna
us
come over.
some of us have a sense of humor.
Wow.
Craig, weren't you going to buy Dan Tana's?
Yeah. So.
What happened?
Did Russians buy it instead?
Stop.
Okay.
Let's not.
It's back to the other restaurant. Okay.
We're worried about the mob coming out.
So let's see. So it's 2008 or 9. Dan is talking about selling a restaurant. There's a bunch of different versions of what he wants to do. I'm gonna buy it. We have an understanding. My dad passes away that August, and then about a month later, he calls me up into the office and he says, "I sold the restaurant." And I'm like,
Oh my God.
Heartbreaking.
Oh,
that
right.
had to be
Who does that?
does that?
absolutely
Well,
Sickening.
heartbreaking
Sickening.
and the best thing that ever could have happened.
Right. So
Yes.
he got a better
Right.
offer, which I understand, but you should come to me and say,
course.
I've got this better
course.
offer.
Yeah.
Right.
Do you want to
right.
match it? So he didn't. I spent 4 or 5 months really upset and
Crushed.
yeah,
I'm sure.
and drinking my way through it. And then
I would have too.
And then at some point, like my wife Lisa said, "Listen,
Were you
you're-
married at that point?
Yeah, you're either going to do this, and it's kind of okay now. You're 44, but at 52, this isn't going to be cute. Or you can go and do your own thing." And so I mentioned it to a few people. And then Jimmy, the maitre d', the original maitre d' at Tana's, who hired me, who I eventually became the maitre d' when he retired, he was sick. And he was living up in Washington. And for some reason, we had a phone call. And I said to Lisa, I go, "Yeah, he doesn't sound good. I'm going to go see him when we come back from our trip." We were going somewhere. And she goes, "You know what? Go this weekend, because if something happens to him and you don't have a chance to spend some time with him, you're going to hate yourself." So
What good advice.
I went up and we were sitting there and I told him what was going on. And I said, I'm really, really anxious and I'm really nervous and it's a huge leap and blah, 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 blah. And he goes, Craig, I've got lung cancer. I'm going to be dead in 3 months. Like, what exactly are you nervous about? And I came back that Monday and signed a lease on the new place.
Wow.
I mean, it literally was the catapult. So, you know, yeah, I was crushed. And this is a lesson that I try to teach other people, and I try to teach it to myself every time something bad happens. There's a reason. And if you work hard and figure out a way to get through it, something magical will happen.
Yeah.
And by the way, you have the energy in your 40s to work 20-hour days, 18-hour days, which you have to when you're starting a new business.
Yeah, I didn't expect to do it at 56.
Right.
Through COVID, but it's
harder to start it than in your 30s and 40s.
Yeah,
you know,
but it's been every night there is 30 seconds where I close my eyes and I listen to the room and I just take it in and I am grateful.
Yeah.
Right. That's so good.
There has to be a moment where you actually go, look at this.
Yeah.
There's something that I am so humbled by and grateful that this place has been embraced by so many people. And I really do take it as a compliment that people go there to celebrate and they also go there to commiserate, because it's such a beautiful compliment that, like, I lost my dad or I'm going through a really hard time and all I wanted to do is come in, give you a hug, have a drink, and like sit down. And that's amazing.
Okay, I lost both my dads. Can I come in and get a table?
Yeah, get a restaurant at Drake's.
I lost my cat a year ago today. I need a hug and a drink.
Wow, you lost.
Oh my gosh.
It's a train wreck down there in Dallas.
You do a lot of charitable stuff at your restaurant too.
Yeah.
You do.
Yeah.
Because he does.
Yes,
and they're doing it again coming up for Children Mending Hearts.
Yes,
they're
the
changing.
poker.
Yeah. So Children Mending Hearts obviously is near to my
Amanda
heart
Foundation.
because of Lisa, and Amanda Foundation. Children's Hospital is my number one charity personally, and at the restaurant. We also were delivering a lot of meals to the Cedar Sinai staff and the
Fantastic.
Children's Hospital during COVID. We were boxing a lot of lunches and dinners, and then giving away a lot
Because
of
you had
Craig's
so much
vegan.
staff. That
Well, it just was like
Yeah,
it was
they
like
could go.
you know, no matter how bad you've got it, somebody's got it worse.
absolutely.
You know what I mean? And if you walk through Children's Hospital,
Hello.
your kids might be driving you nuts, but trust me.
I work at Children's Hospital
been.
every Wednesday and have for the last 9 years.
No.
I volunteer there every Wednesday. I leave there every Wednesday and go, thank you.
No.
No problem is a problem.
No,
No,
it
no.
gives you so much perspective when you realize that there's other people that are just, I mean.
So much worse.
The problems that Craig's restaurant has, in all the things that we've talked about, supply chain, all that nonsense, we're doing unbelievably well. There are restaurants out there that are thinking about closing their doors today. And I know
lot
that.
have.
Right. So that's never far from my heart. So we try to figure out how to give away gift certificates, how to actually include food. We're part of Baby to Baby in a couple of weeks. We're doing both a food station and a Craig's vegan station. So
Is that Seinfeld's wife's? Is that her charity?
No, that's Nora Weinstein.
Baby to
and-
Baby.
Yeah,
No,
I mean,
okay.
she might be
I think
involved.
she might be.
Is she?
I think
she
I'm not
might be.
I don't know all the players. I just know I think the local kind of LA players. So we just, we literally just try to give back as much as we can. I mean, it's fun.
How do you
Look
feel?
at Amy and I are supporting Craig's.
We are.
That was our 10th anniversary sweatshirts, which I think we've got.
I didn't get one, by the
No,
way.
I'm sorry.
Nor me.
Just saying.
We didn't mean to say it like that.
So that's the other thing. Like, we couldn't have a 10th anniversary party.
Yeah.
So because we were
Right.
closed. So it was like,
could
okay,
have it
well,
late.
yeah, we might have an 11. I don't know,
Right, an
we'll figure it
11.
out. Maybe we'll do a 15 as a 10. I don't know.
Do you feel like you were successful immediately?
No.
No. Do you feel like there was
Yeah, so-
there was a climb there a
Yeah,
little bit?
so there's this thing that happens, and it happens to pretty much every restaurant. The first 3 or 4 months are like the honeymoon, and you're just literally going to get crushed, and you don't even know where the forks are.
It's a terrible honeymoon.
No, it's like you don't know where the forks are. The food's
Yeah.
not quite right. The servers are like, everybody's like, oh, you should do pop-ups. I go, pop-ups are everything that's horrible about the restaurant.
Yeah.
The first 2 weeks are a nightmare because you don't know how to do anything.
Yeah, there's no system.
So the first 3 months were amazing, right? Even though there were lots of food issues. And then all of a sudden there's this lull because everybody in Hollywood loves to go, oh, I've been there. It's great. Oh, I've been there. It's horrible. So everybody has to make a judgment, pass judgment, and they have to tell all their friends. And then slowly you start to that starts to slow down. And then you start to get people that give you real feedback. And if you're a close friend of a restaurant person, I always say to people, don't go to a restaurant in the first 3 months and make a decision about it. Go there because you love them and you're trying to be supportive. Then go back in like 4 or 5 months. If they haven't fixed their stuff, then that's on them. So you start to like figure it out. So we opened in January. January, February, March, April were amazing. May started to slow down. June and July were
scary.
Really?
Oh boy. So yeah, because the food wasn't quite right. Service wasn't quite right. You don't have a lot of people who are on vacation wanting to come in. So you don't have the tourists because they don't know anything about it.
Oh.
Right? They don't know.
Yeah.
And then you have to start making some really tough decisions. And so what I was saying to people all the time was, we're fixing it. I know we're fixing it. And people will give you some leeway because they know you're working on it. The minute you say, what are you talking about? I think it's great. I don't know what you mean. Like, dead.
Yeah.
So we had to let go of some people, bring in some new people. And then I remember walking around in October of that year, and I was walking through the restaurant, and I was like, so this is what it's going to be. Like, I had given it enough room for it to define itself. Like, I don't know if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it does.
Like, it's like, it wasn't exactly what I had envisioned, but it was really close.
Yeah.
And then it just kind of settled. And
So
I
it
was like,
took you 10 months or a year
Yeah.
to really get us.
and then all of a sudden it had a little bit of swagger.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden there was a little bit of confidence. And then you could start
By the
to kind
way,
of feel it.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of amazing for a new restaurant. It usually takes a little longer than that. My father was in the restaurant business. That's quick because it's a whole new thing. I mean, I know they knew you from Dantana, but it's still.
I think I got a little bit of leeway for that because I've had the relationships. But then I was willing to do things. So back before Instagram and influencers, there were, and you know this better than anybody, there are people that eat in restaurants in LA that would influence other people eating in LA. Okay, so I knew that coming from Dantana. So there were a number of people like, I'm like, oh, I don't see so-and-so. I don't see so-and-so. This is bad. So I ran into somebody in the street and I said, hey, what's up? And they're like, how are you? How's the restaurant? I'm like, good. Where you been? And they're like, I'm vegan and I'm not going to eat a plate of vegetables. And I said, oh, I didn't, like, this is 9 years ago. I go, oh my God, I didn't even know. I said, well, call me. Let me know, give me like a day's notice, and I will make you a vegan dish. And they're like, you will? And I'm like, sure. I'll work on it with chef, and we'll figure it out. So I go to chef, and I go, we got to make it like, not just a vegan dish. We got to make a vegan dish. And so that person followed through, came in, called me on a Thursday, came in on a Friday, put them at a front table. They're eating their vegan dish. People are walking by going, what's that? And I go, it's a vegan dish. Don't worry about it. And they're like, no. That looks really good.
Yeah.
What
was it?
It was a
Chicken
big,
Milanese.
No, it was a big mushroom dish that was like stacked, and it was actually really pretty. And
portobellos with like peppers and
but it was stacked
great.
And really pretty, and it was a composed dish. And I think that's what a lot of vegans wanted. They just wanted the thought that goes into a quote unquote regular dish that goes into one of our dishes. So this is 9 years ago. So one dish becomes two dishes, now we've got 5 dishes on the menu, plus 2 pizzas, plus a couple of appetizers. And so it's making up 20% of our sales. And what we've noticed, because we were such early adopters, people realized that I was willing to change dishes based on what they wanted. And so a lot of the menu are things that I love. A lot of it, we've gotten direction from the customers.
That spaghetti
Do you wanna hear
squash
this?
rocks my world.
I have something to say.
Go ahead.
So my husband, who is beyond vegan, like he hasn't had meat or anything ever.
Right.
Since he was like 17.
Okay.
We were at Crossroads and he was talking to Tal one night.
Love Tal. By the way,
Said-
Tal helped me a bunch.
I do that. So Tal said, I said something about going to Craig's the next night. I said to Terry, I wish you'd come with us. And he doesn't go any place unless it's vegan or occasionally an Indian restaurant because they're so respectful of vegan meals,
Right.
whatever. So I said, I wish you'd come with us. And he said, is it a vegan restaurant? I said, Terry, you know it's not a vegan restaurant. He said, well, then I won't be going. And
Is that the night we were all together? Because
No, it
your
was ages
husband ate
before
with
that.
us.
Well, no,
No,
that's
it's-
that's actually the reason you couldn't get the reservation. They couldn't because you were with them.
But
We we did eat there all together. That's the only
We
way
did.
All of us.
Yes, we did.
I had to glom on.
We
So
did.
my husband, so he said he's not going to go. So Tal said, "Trust me, you can eat there."
And he did.
Oh, that's
He
sweet.
did.
Yeah.
And he
So
did.
Tal. So we were going through. We were racking our brains trying to come up with like interesting vegan dishes. And I was talking to Tal one day, and Tal said, "God, Craig, don't just recreate your dishes, but a vegan version." I'm like a vegan chicken parmesan. He's like, "Yeah." I'm like,
Duh.
oh, so that's, I mean, Tal was really sweet and really helpful. And we've actually all banded together during COVID. A lot of the restaurants, everybody thinks that we all compete against each other, but you can't eat in the same place every night. And so it turns out that we
Right.
all share a lot of the same clients. We all have the same problems, issues, stresses. So we've all kind of like banded together.
That's
and
nice.
I just like the fact that we now are much more in communication and that we talk a lot.
And COVID did that, you think?
Yeah.
There were
Yeah.
a lot
for
of silver
sure.
linings to COVID.
Yeah. So
There were.
I go see Tal at lunch and stuff like that, and then he comes in for dinner once in a while. And Michael Voltaggio,
Yeah.
the guys from Catch, Chiccone's, like we've all kind of like, banded together, and it's a really interesting time. But then that's what launched the vegan ice cream. So
I wanted to get to that.
Yeah.
The vegan ice cream
Right,
in
so-
Las Vegas.
right, so we didn't have a dessert. We were bringing in other desserts that were good. They were a little hit and miss. And one of my biggest pet peeves is, if I buy something from you, I have to have it all the time because you want it all the time, and I don't know when you're coming. And I hate being out of
Yeah, yeah.
stuff, which is why this whole supply chain thing is driving me out of my mind, because we ordered plates from Germany like 8 months ago. They just stopped even giving us updates. Like, I don't even know where they are. I said to Chef, "What do you know about ice cream?" And he said, "Nothing." I said, "Okay. Well, can we learn?" And he goes, "I don't know. I've never made ice cream before." I'm like, okay. So it literally for like 6 months, he was reading chemistry books on like what
Smart.
makes ice cream. And then he went and bought one of those little Cuisinarts
Uh-huh.
and literally making it a liter at a time. Like, taste this. I'm like, "Ugh, it's disgusting. Taste that. Nope. Taste that. Nope. Taste that. It's good, but I wouldn't pay for it." And then slowly it was peanut butter chocolate chip. And he came out one day and I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
The best.
And then, so we started putting that out to the customers, and then he made a mint chip. We started putting that out to
good.
people. And then I saw somebody take it to go. And I was like,
Diane.
Yeah, I was
Maybe-
just going to say her name was Diane.
I'm like,
or
maybe
me.
this is our Rayo's tomato sauce. Like,
Yeah.
maybe this is our calling.
Yeah.
And so, not knowing anything about the consumer product space and not understanding how difficult ice cream was. Also, there was a culture thing. So we went to some of the big ice cream manufacturers, and they were like these big guys who had been making ice cream for 100 years the same way. And they sat back in their chairs and they said, "Let me tell you, son, nobody's going to buy cashew-based ice cream." And I said, "Well, it may not be me. It's probably some idiot behind me, but you're going to change your business model because the world is going to do it. And if you don't do it, you're going to be the Eastman Kodak of ice cream manufacturers." And the guy looked at me
interesting.
and got really mad. And then like 4 months later, we were doing business together.
Amazing.
And now Craig's Vegan is in 11 different supermarket chains. It's at Johnny Rockets. It's at
Fat Burger.
It's at Burger Lounge. And we've got our own store at Resorts World in Las Vegas, which is
And how many people come through a day?
500 to 1,000 a day.
That's
A day.
amazing.
A day.
Amazing.
In Las Vegas, vegan ice
Amazing.
cream.
Yeah, so it's doing really, really well, and
It's the best.
We're growing, and I'm learning about. I like to call it hunting and pecking. I hunted and pecked my way through, like trying to figure it out. We're now hiring people that actually know what they're doing. But the fascinating thing is we're slowly using the world to migrate towards more plant-based products.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
regular crab is really hard to get right now. It's incredibly expensive. And I said to Chef, I go, "You know what? Why buck the trend? Why don't we just get vegan crab cakes instead of regular crab? And we'll just take the regular crab off the menu. We'll put the vegan stuff on the menu." It's like we're just slowly moving.
It would have been more fun to just trick everybody. Put the vegan ones under the normal menu.
Okay, so here's the thing. Never lie to a vegan.
No, I meant the other way around.
No, I know.
Okay.
And the other, like literally, don't, because people get nuts.
Yeah.
And also, there's a bunch of allergies too, so you got to be
No,
really,
yeah,
really
yeah.
careful.
Careful.
I know.
Can I say something? You know what I think really helped propel your vegan ice cream? There was a commercial that you did online. I think it really.
The end is near, and so I face the final curtain. My friend, I'll say it clear, I'll state my case, which I'm certain I've lived a life that's full. I traveled each and every highway and more, much more than this. I did it my way. My way.
That probably was the success of
But here's
everything that you are.
this is
Craig.
one of the reasons I love this moment so much. So,
I think the rollers definitely helped.
Yeah.
okay, so do you guys know how this all came about?
No, not
so,
quite.
So real quick, of all things, John Mayer comes in one night and he says to me, I don't know why, but I had a dream about your vegan ice cream.
Oh.
And I'm like, huh? He goes, it wasn't really a dream. It was more like a commercial. I'm like, what? And so he said, there's this woman. She pulls up to the front of the restaurant. She's in curlers and a robe, and she runs into the restaurant. She has to have your ice cream. She comes back out. She's eating the ice cream, and she gets hit with all the paparazzi. And I go, John,
Oh, that's great.
John, that's amazing.
That's great.
Amy and Fred come in one night, and I literally tell her the story about a Craig's vegan commercial. And she goes, we can do that. And I go, no, seriously. Like, she goes, no, we can do that.
Yeah, but there.
Cut to like 2 months
to-
later.
Cut
Here
to
it
2 months
was.
later.
We're in the restaurant
There it
doing it
was.
for you.
So I said, oh, not only that, I know who can direct it.
Yeah.
You originally said you should direct it. I go, what do I know about directing?
Yeah.
I said, but I do know who can direct it. And it was a woman named Jamie Anderson. And so Jamie, I introduced those two. And Jamie and Amy, like, all of a sudden became like this dynamic duo that were not going to be stopped. And they produced it. Jamie directed it. And it's amazing. So they made a rough cut, and then who put the song in? You did. So she
It's
selected.
the perfect song.
So
I
it's
mean,
it's Frank Sinatra's "My Way."
Yeah.
And so I see it, and I go, "This is amazing." No chance we get to use that song.
but I said, oh yes, there is a chance because it is perfect and it is the most perfect and it's such a beautiful spot.
Right. So I'm like, oh Lord, okay, I'm gonna call Tina Sinatra and go, Tina.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
smart.
Okay, so I
Well,
call
the first call that I made was Gloria Butler because she knows everybody. So we went through the official channels first.
With Paul Anka, I think.
No, you went through the publishing companies.
We went through all the publishing companies.
yes,
and
we did,
found
we
out there
did.
were so
We
many,
did.
and it was going to be impossible to do it officially.
So
Yes,
then I think to myself, okay, let me
Yeah.
call Tina. I said, Tina, I just want you to see something. I sent it to her.
Yeah.
She goes, I love it.
Yeah.
Whatever you need.
Anything
you have
for
our
you, Greg.
blessing. Anything for you, which God bless her. She
So
goes,
nice.
You've got one problem. I go, what's that? She goes, he didn't write it. Paul Anka did.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's why you
what we
said
did.
that.
Yeah.
So she goes, but by the way, Paul's going to love it. So
Yeah.
she goes, just call him. So,
Yeah.
okay. All right. Hey,
That's good. Cold calls.
Paul, how are you? It's Craig from Craig's, restaurant.
How's it going?
Did he know you?
Yeah, he knows me. I mean, he used to, Jerry Weintraub was like,
Oh, yeah.
they were like that. So I had a little bit of it in. And so I sent it to him, and he was like, God bless. Anything you want,
Incredible.
use it digitally. You just can't use it like as a full-blown commercial. You can't do a Super Bowl commercial. I'm like, we're not that kind of money.
It could be though. It could be a Super
Oh, no,
Bowl
no.
commercial.
Oh,
You
it could have
are spectacular in it.
You are.
It's
Well,
so
awesome.
well
Thank
done.
you.
So
But
awesome.
it's so well, and Brian Koss was our DP.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, it was just so
You-
beautifully
Okay,
done.
by
You
the way,
look at this
by the
thing,
way,
and you think that we spent
Oh, yeah.
millions of dollars doing
You do.
it. What's the by the way,
I think,
Dallas?
okay,
Dallas?
by the way, I think even though I love that song with it, there's so many great songs that would work with that.
So many, but
Oh,
that
that
is
worked.
the perfect.
No,
song.
but that was the Trump song too. Don't forget. There's a lot of songs.
I don't think of
that
him
would
when I
go
think of that.
Me
No,
neither.
me neither.
I
You
think of
crazy.
Amy and her
I know.
curlers.
In fact, I don't think of him at all.
Me neither.
Well, that's
I
good.
don't
But
need-
whenever I hear that song,
It's probably-
but I think that commercial would work with a lot of music, which would be a
It
fun
could.
way to
I
change
had
it
100
up.
versions of it.
Yeah.
I still have 100 versions of it
No,
on my
so
laptop.
but it's interesting.
that's
Like
the best.
if you think back to you think back to this kid who worked in this old school Italian steakhouse, And now
Yes.
I'm out with this like vegan ice cream venture. You think like talk about growth,
So
like
it's
and talk about
fantastic,
talk about the way the world's changing and it's
Evolution,
changing
yes.
quickly.
What we do need is Craig's Vegan in every single Whole Foods
this is
or
good.
really
Yes,
every
I
single
agree.
grocery
We
store
need
across America.
Wegmans, Publix,
Yes.
let's go.
Ralph's,
Let's rock and roll
Pavilions,
this thing.
Fry's,
I agree.
I
Albertsons.
could do that.
But it is the best ice cream.
I
Okay,
can't
but
get
listen,
it here.
is, no,
I've
it is
just
the
taken
best,
a
and
really
I've
good
had
picture.
every vegan ice
No,
cream
we're not leaving now.
made.
In
It's
the
not the
freezer.
best
Every-
vegan ice cream.
Not
I mean, it is, but it's the
leaving.
best ice cream.
Yeah.
Period.
I don't like
So-
those vegan
Yes.
ice creams.
So the
Ice
goal
cream.
behind the ice cream was how do we make an amazing ice cream that happens to be vegan,
Correct.
right?
Yeah.
Different methodology.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Because it doesn't make you feel
You don't have an
gross
aftertaste.
and mucusy and like a cow's teat suckly.
Okay, but I have an important question. But you can ask your lesser important question
Even the way
first.
you said
Sloan.
that was like amazing.
I want to know the Yaya story.
What's that?
The guy out
Yeah.
front?
Yeah, he's always there.
Yeah, no, I don't know why he hangs out with the paparazzi out front, and
Oh, he's not part of. He's just on his own out front.
yeah. So I have zero communication with the paparazzi out front because
Oh.
I am all about protecting the people that come in here, into the restaurant, and I don't want to be perceived as like being involved in it. So I don't go out there that much. It's a really weird dynamic. Everybody says, "Oh, you love it. It's so good for you, the restaurant." I'm like, well, yeah, but I'd actually rather people be able to come in quietly and be able to enjoy themselves.
No, girls, I don't know if you remember, he took our photo when we were all there together as the four couples. He's on Jimmy Kimmel about, I don't know, once every 2 weeks.
He's a
he's
really nice
cute
guy. Actually,
Yeah, he's a sweetheart.
You know what's really funny is most of the paparazzi are
enough.
human. I don't like to use the word, but if you do ask them, like if somebody, I remember like when Don Rickles, before he passed, who I missed dearly, he was in a wheelchair towards the end, and he just didn't want to be photographed in a wheelchair, and they were very respectful of that. So like there's some times where they actually, they will make accommodations. There's people that I miss, like I don't know if you make another Don Rickles. I don't know if you make another Jerry Weintraub. I don't know if you make there are certain people that are passing on that had such unique character and this fighting spirit that like nothing was going to stop them. Like they got up in the morning and they just achieved what they wanted to achieve. I'm just hoping that those people resurrect in some different way.
Won't get another.
You know what I
Jared-
hope for?
You
I
know,
hope that a lot of young people listen to this podcast, and we should make them because there's a lot of lessons in this.
Well, I just like I love people and I love helping. Look, I started out as a waiter and a bartender. I
Right.
started out with
Nothing.
There were like, let's go.
Yeah.
So there's young actors, there's young musicians, there's young
Producers.
Go get it. Just go get it.
Just go do it.
Just go do it.
You
This
could
is
do a
the
TED Talk.
this
Do a
is
TED Talk.
this is the greatest country in the world. There are flaws. Got it. But it's also the greatest country in the world. You can go do whatever you want to do.
Except be a comedian these days.
Well, that's just a tougher. Like I was just talking to Jeff Ross the other day, and look, there are issues with what comedians used to do was social commentary on what was so bad about our social settings. But they would bring light to it, and then we go, "Oh yeah, that's funny, but that's kind of effed up."
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
And now, like, you can't even and what I don't like, that people can't have differing views and still be friends. Like
They can't?
No, there's a lot of people like you look a lot of college professors are getting fired because they don't agree with certain positions, but their job is to help people to learn how to think, not what to think.
Not teach them what to think.
And that's
how
the
to
difference. So I'm like,
Yeah.
when did that go a different way?
Right.
And so the comedians are falling into that. The writers are falling into that. People that are writing scripts and movies are certainly aware of it. It's like there's a lot that's right with that. But then you don't want to lose the individuality
Right.
and that kind of like fighting spirit either of thinking your own way as well. I love the people that carved out a career out of nothing.
Yes.
Yeah.
And there's so many of us older now that did that.
Yeah, I love. One of my favorite things to do is to sit down with somebody and find out how they got from A to where they are. And I don't think there's been one time where it's the way I thought.
Oh.
Like you know how you look at somebody's life,
Oh,
Yeah.
and you're like, oh, look at you, easy street.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh no. And I'm like, oh,
More times than not.
yeah, it's fascinating the obstles that we've all kind of gone past and the things that you have to do. So that's what I find really, really fascinating.
It's about staying positive, being focused.
Somebody said to me, "How did you get through COVID?" And I'm like, "There was no choice."
Yep. Well, there you go.
We were in
Well, but-
a week before everything shut down, and I remember the look on your face. It was like a little bit of worry, but like planning, working.
Out of all your celebrity patrons, who is the most obnoxious? And the careful way of answering this is you could just give us that person's initials. How's that?
Okay. So I'm going to start this by saying the other night I was at a party, a Diwali party, which I had never been to, and I got starstruck.
No
and
way.
I don't, yeah. So there's a guy named Jay Shetty, who's on Instagram called Live Like a Monk. And I've been, during COVID and everything, I became a really big fan. And I saw him at this party the other night. I literally like froze. And the people I was with, my wife and the other couple were like, there are celebrities there. Nothing. Jay Shetty, I lose my mind. and so anyway, look, there are people that are going through different phases of celebrity, right? So I find that the newer ones
They're the worst, anyway.
are still adjusting, right? So I think the ones that have been doing it for a long time
Seasoned.
are unbelievably sweet and smart. And then I think there are some that expect more for less. And they just assume that that's the way the world is.
Precocious.
That other people don't live in it.
So who's the most precocious then?
No,
Initials,
gonna
just
do it.
initials.
no. I mean, we're
not
never
gonna
gonna
do it.
we're never gonna do that. But
Well,
but
He's
there
saying,
are
All right.
there are people that you love to meet and you go, oh my God, you are exactly who I hoped you were. You really do.
oh, that's
Yeah.
so nice.
Yeah.
They're really, and by the way, that's the most of them. The reason they are a movie star or a rock star is because they've got that thing and they've got that charisma and they've got that talent. Same thing about like politicians. You meet some of them and you're like, I get it. Like, wow, you do what you do and you do it really, really well.
The magnetic quality.
And yeah, and then there's others where you're kind of like, I don't get it.
Right.
And then like I've had to learn about this whole influencer TikTok world and Instagram world. But by the way, some of them are incredibly talented. There's a reason they have 140 million followers. They're really good at what they do and they're really, really smart. And there's others that are like, okay, you're about to get 15 minutes, I think. But
And
But
then
it's
there's the Kardashians.
but it's a different. But by the way, I've known them all forever. I cannot
I've been
tell
eating-
you.
yeah.
I cannot tell you how nice and sweet and smart they are, and incredibly bright.
I
know,
believe that.
I know.
Yeah.
No, like I am a huge fan, and I love them each individually, and I think they deserve what they've got. I'm fascinated that the public is so fascinated.
Well, I'm
Yeah.
just pleased that him and Kanye's daughter listens to Black Sabbath. That pleases me immensely.
Interesting.
Gloria's husband is a bass player in
She
Black
said-
Sabbath.
Oh,
She
I was
said,
like, wow, where did we go?
Random.
where did that
you
come
didn't-
from?
you went
But she
from-
did say that on Ellen. She
I
said her
love that.
daughter started listening to Black Sabbath.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
I love new generations of album buyers.
Yeah, no, it's like it
So I could afford
think
Craig's.
It was Chris's birthday yesterday. I think it was Kendall's birthday a couple days ago, and like it's really, really interesting to watch what they do and how they do it. Like Kendall came out with a tequila 818. I'm like, okay, let me taste it, and it's really good. Okay, so they do things and they do them well, and they certainly know how to get the attention.
They're marketing geniuses, really.
No,
right?
but-
Can't get that far
Oh,
without
for
being
sure.
bright.
But
you're right.
But they are so
The
it's
mother.
unbelievably nice.
Yeah.
Like interpersonally, like when nobody's looking, they don't have to be.
Yeah.
Genuinely sweet. And I
Right.
love that. You hear a lot of horror stories about some people that are demanding and a little overwhelming. And then there's other people that, in private couldn't be sweeter, couldn't be nicer. And it's like, I'm just grateful that they're kind of I call it in my sphere. And we're not
Actually,
close.
I think
You have
girls, when we ate there, Chris came in that night because we saw the flashes going off, and we were like, "Who just came in?"
But you
And
know
it
what's
was Chris.
amazing is like the guys with Casamigos, like George, Randy, and Mike, like they've revamped a whole industry. I, as a restaurant owner, it's one small place in West Hollywood, but getting bombarded with tequila brands.
Oh,
And
yeah.
it all started.
funny.
It
Yeah.
all started with Casamigos and
Oh,
their
yeah.
success. So
That's
they brought
awesome.
in the first bottle to Craig's. We've been drinking out of a plastic bottle. I've known the boys forever. Like, God bless them, and happy to help in our own small little way. But I remember we took a picture, and we have a bottle, the original bottle, hanging on the wall at the restaurant. It was 4 years and like 3 months. They turned an agave plant into $1 billion. It's like amazing.
Incredible.
And now
It
everybody's coming out
helps
with
to
tequila.
be
Yeah.
named George, though. It does help.
Sure.
He, he does
They
have
had
that He has that Midas touch, though. He is.
Yes.
He is.
Right.
By the way, talk about charming
Yes,
and
I know.
sweet
Right.
and smart
And always
and loyal.
has been.
By the way,
Always has
he's
been.
my brother-in-law's patient.
Young, when he was young, and now.
No, but he's loyal and you just can't say enough nice things.
You know what
Like,
else?
He's great.
You know what else? You're really loyal to, my friend, Danny Minnick.
Yeah.
Your friend.
Yeah.
That he's painted in your restaurant here. Didn't he do something for the vegan ice cream place in Las Vegas?
He did. No. Yes, we did something. So I love trying to help younger artists. Some of them, we'll just straight out give them money for their art. Some we give money in like a food credit, just all whatever I can do to help. And so we were looking at artwork for the interior of Craig's Vegan, and they were looking at all these like stock images of like just stuff you could grab online that were like give you the nostalgia of like 1950s, 60s, like ice cream parlors. Lisa, my wife, and Alexa, who handles our marketing, was like, something just doesn't feel right about it. Like, it just feels not special. And then Lisa was like, well, you've got all these relationships with all these young artists. Why not just, ask them to do something unique and different? And so we just went around. I got Danny, I got Roland Berry. We found a bunch of different artists, Alex Israel. We found a bunch of different artists to do these little 2x2 panels, and that's what's up on the inside of the.
Oh, that's
Very
so
cool.
cool.
And
Very
then
cool.
Gregory sifted the outside wall mural, and it's stunning. It's great. And then Gregory did a wall mural that the patio faces in the back of the restaurant, and it's like everything that happened during COVID.
Oh, he did that?
So it's got Gay Pride, it's got The World, it's got Make-A-Wish, it's got Gemma and Adrian, my kids in it, it's got Chicken Parmesan, it's got Mike, the bartender from Dantana's that passed away because of COVID. It's like, it's got so much like, it's Black Power. It's got everything that's in there, Black Lives Matter. It's got everything in there that kind of happened in that microcosm of that moment that's important, that kind of influenced that time, and it's still influencing us now. But yeah, the losing Mike during COVID, like Mike was
very sad.
Mike was probably, like, I can hear him in my head, and probably the moves that I make are the training that I got from Dan, from Mike, from Jimmy, from just that old world hospitality and that whole world like work ethic of I came to this country with nothing and you just figure it out. And that's the way they operated. And I'm not that person. I mean, I'm obviously a second generation American, but that work ethic was translated.
Where were your grandparents from?
Grandparents born here, great-grandparents in Russia, like everybody. They all ended up in Brooklyn in a ghetto and lived on nothing. And I think my great-grandfather was a tailor. My other great-grandfather was a pool table builder. Like, just like, you just did stuff. You had trades.
Yeah.
And they had no money and they had nothing. My grandfather was a dry cleaner on 26th Street and 81st Avenue in Brooklyn for 50 years.
Wow.
You know? So all of my grandparents, we all kind of came from nothing.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about, like, this whole experience is that you can go do whatever you want to go do.
Yeah.
Just go do it.
Find Craig's at Bristol Farms, Gelson's Markets, Mother's Markets, or Farm Shop CA, to name a few spots. And as always, you can ship directly to your doorstep on craigsvegan.com. Focus
That's
and
a good
walk
place.
back.
That's a good place to end. But you know what? Since Craig is here, and we do raggeries, which he might have a couple, and we do kudos, which he might
These
have
are
a couple.
quick little 30-second.
I have one.
Quick, like something great, something
you got something to say.
really annoying.
I have a feeling hers is a raggery. I don't really have any.
You do.
Oh, I do.
Somebody must have driven badly around you this week.
They always do. I can't even do that every week.
We
Is
have
it,
this
by the
whole-
way, is it an electric car that drives badly?
No.
I've noticed that a little bit.
No,
Oh.
people do things like,
Like,
I
if you got an electric car, the rules of the road don't
have an electric.
matter.
I have a half electric car.
Half electric.
okay.
You have a hybrid.
I have a I have a hybrid.
Okay, you go, Amy.
Okay.
How do I
My
do this?
kudos
Is
to Craig
Ah,
for being here and doing this
Oh
for
yeah,
us.
that's a good kudos.
and bringing
Yeah.
food.
I did.
Oh,
I
you
food.
brought food.
I mean,
yeah.
Oh, that's my kudos.
Except for me, except for one.
except for Dallas,
I have to starve
except
today.
for PTD, part-time Dallas,
PTD.
on the Zoom.
Wow.
On the Zoom.
That's right. We'll
So
fix
sorry.
it. We'll send you something.
Aw.
Well,
I'll
be there soon.
All
When
she
you're here,
cares
we'll
about
all
is
go
the
out.
7:30
When you're here, we'll all go out to
table.
dinner.
That's all she cares
All
about.
right. I'm
All
going
right.
to think about my outfit all month for Craig.
Oh, I like this. What are you gonna send me options? Do I get to choose, or are you just gonna go for it?
No,
she's
I'm just
gonna surprise
going to make
you.
it unforgettable.
But don't forget, it's freezing in LA now. It's like 55 degrees.
Yeah, but it's
Good thing you don't wear
cozy
fur.
inside.
I mean, literally. Somebody
cozy
told me last
inside.
night, they're like, "Can you bring the heater over? It's freezing."
You're like,
gosh.
it's 62.
I'm like, "It's okay."
Okay, but all right, sure.
But
We'll
that's,
turn
you know,
that
we
up.
can't have another kudos besides that.
All right, we can have a group kudos for Craig.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's all about Craig. It's all about Craig.
No, but I love
But nobody
this.
has-
It makes me happy that, like, I can't even believe that somebody would ask me to come and do their podcast.
Are you
like,
kidding
no,
me?
But that literally that goes through my head. It's like I am in a very blessed place that anybody would even want to, and the fact that we've known each other for 30 years, like, crazy.
I know, but you didn't just talk about you and your life. You actually gave very good learning lessons. They were very.
agree.
You,
Yeah, we like depth. We like
you
content.
did actually.
We did.
Right, your content was more than just about you and your restaurant.
Well, but I'm a part of so many lives. It's like,
You are.
yeah, we facilitate a lot of things that happen.
Yeah.
And that's what's so amazing about the restaurant business. It's just not coming in, getting fed, and see you later.
No.
I don't even care about food as much. Food is
She
not.
eats lettuce and seeds in general.
Like that's why Caesar salad is my favorite food. But you have a great chopped salad. I just want you to know.
But his
He
vegan
has great
seeds?
parmesan
She eats just lettuce.
is great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have some other kudos. One to a friend who I know is a big Craig's customer who had always told me, you know, she wears fur and leather and alligator, and so be it. And I'm
I
just
wonder
a
if you'd like it
liberal.
if they had faux leather and
Leather
faux.
Well, so I got a text from her the other day. She was at Neiman's in Beverly Hills
Okay.
and said how she was thinking about me. She bought a vegan leather jacket,
good.
and
Good.
she can't believe how luxe it is. And I'd let her know how proud of her I was, of course. And I'm slowly getting some friends this way. And then we were at the Soho House of Dallas the other night. And they are big carnivores. And actually, their kids live in LA. I know they eat at Craig's, and his name is Craig as well. But anyway, she told me that they are now coming my way, and they ordered vegan meatballs. And
My way?
I was really
My way, the
All
operative
coming
words.
together. It's really
my
it's-
way. Yes. Anyway, so I just shout out to people that are starting to evolve. How about that?
Nice.
How about
And
that?
then
I like that.
Also, I've noticed, as everyone knows, I'm a fashionista,
Oh yes.
that the Prada has nothing but faux fur all over their website.
Didn't they go?
They did.
They went.
They did.
No fur, which is great.
Yes,
Yeah.
but they are full
I agree.
of gorgeous faux furs, and
Faux fur.
it's so.
I met a faux fur the other
Faux
night.
fur.
Oh, she was so amazing.
Faux fur.
The fashion industry is listening. Anyway, I'm very
Good.
pleased about it.
Yeah.
Do you
Good.
have
Does
a-
anybody have any raggeries?
No.
Yes, I do.
I have
that
one
too.
raggery is
Go
that
on.
I don't understand chords and things that plug in, and I hope this is all recording.
I hope so too.
No, I think you did an
I
amazing
think
job.
it's okay. I think it's working.
I have my only raggery would be not a big fan of groupthink, and I think like my kudos are to everybody out there achieving what they want and living out their dreams. That to me is like the greatest, most fulfilling way to live a life.
Why don't you like groupthink?
I don't like groupthink. I like individuals. I like people that have differing opinions that can express them without being shut down. And
I agree.
And
know
then
what you
you know,
mean.
because usually the truth is somewhere in the gray anyway.
Of course.
You know, and
But
so
it's good to open your mind, at least to
Right.
alternative,
That's
as
all.
long as people are open-minded.
And you?
And-
You have a
Oh,
raggery?
I have one.
Kudos or a raggery?
I have a raggery.
Okay,
My
go.
kudos was Craig being here too. But my raggery is the other day my dog was out for a walk with my husband and he stood on a bee
Come say hello.
and came in and and he couldn't put his paw down. So I called my vet.
Craig,
I
come
have
say hi to
5
Craig.
dogs, 3 cats, so they know me well.
Craig.
I called my vet and I told them the story. And they said, well, is he vomiting? Is there diarrhea? Is his face swelling? Does he have hives? And I'm like, oh my God, I don't know these things. I know he doesn't have diarrhea. I know he's not vomiting, but I want you to tell me if he's got hives. I want you to tell me if he's got a swollen face. She said, well, you know what? You're welcome to come in, but you know it's going to be an emergency appointment.
Oof.
I went berserk. I'm like, I don't mind paying the extra $50, but while we were talking, did you not look me up in your computer and look at my animals and see how much money I spend there anyway? Why would you assume that because it costs more as an emergency patient, I wouldn't want to bring my dog in? I don't care what it costs. And you know that because you have my Amex on file. So you know that. And you're asking me.
It's terrible.
I went nuts.
It's what Craig was
I
talking
asked
about.
my husband.
No.
I asked him to do like a Yelp or something, but in his name, or to go on Twitter in his name and say horrible things about this vet. Now I'm leaving.
Gloria.
What? Well, he wouldn't do it anyway.
But do you like the vet?
No, not
Oh,
now.
you
I
don't?
don't.
Not
now.
anymore.
I
No.
don't.
Wait, did you before?
Makes no difference.
Is the vet here?
Yes.
Well, you're not going to be here anyway.
Yeah, you're moving.
Oh, see, this is
No,
you're
no,
blowing smoke because
no.
you're like, I'm leaving anyway.
Two of my dogs go to a cardiologist. They're going to keep going to their cardiologist here.
Oh.
Okay.
But no, why would somebody? Do people
'cause
really
they don't
say?
know.
Do people really say, "Oh, it's an emergency appointment"? Oh, never mind. I don't care that my dog dies. Who says that?
A lot of people do, I think. I really think so.
I think they were just letting you know that it might not be a regular office visit.
and a lot of people
And
do
people
care.
might complain.
They weren't assuming that that you couldn't afford it or that you wouldn't do it. I think it was just an informative conversation part.
Some people might, they might have gotten
They
in
must be
trouble
your
for
vets
not
too,
telling
then.
somebody.
Huh?
They must be your vets too. Then, if you're sticking up for them.
No, I don't even know who we're talking about. I just think it's like
You don't even say a name.
it's like when we say to somebody, "Hey, your reservation's at 6:30. We only hold the table for 10 minutes, and your whole party has to be there." They get all upset. I'm like, or my
I don't like that. I don't. That's a raggery too.
Okay, no,
Your whole
my
party
biggest-
has to be there. I had enough for 6 people. I could start ordering.
No, but I understand
now.
that. But if your reservation's at 6:30 and
Yeah, but
the other
then
part of
you'll
your party
stay
doesn't show up till
longer and they got another
7:15,
table.
you don't get up until 9:15 or 9:30. But we might have a reservation at
No,
8:30.
I'll order for them in the meantime.
Oh, that's a different story.
Okay.
Okay, the other part of it is when they have a 7 o'clock reservation and they walk in at 7:30 and they want to know where their table is.
Oh, yeah.
And I say to them,
Fuck 'em.
if this was an airplane,
Gloria
your table
Butler.
would be over Las Vegas by now.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
I mean,
Yes,
come on,
right.
let's
Yeah,
agree.
how about a phone call?
No, I'm. Me too.
Exactly.
I'm
I
with
agree
you.
with that.
I call
Courtesy,
if I'm 2
courtesy.
minutes late.
Me too.
Right, and then the other thing is, I don't think I've even mentioned Lisa and the kids, and so that's a big
Kudos.
You did mention
kudos.
them.
Did I?
You did
Yeah.
mention
Talked about-
your
yes,
kids
they
and
deserve your
family.
You've talked about
whole
Lisa. You've
podcast.
talked about Lisa a bunch.
Okay, good. I
And
just wanna
you've
make
talked
sure.
about your kids.
Let's give a
too.
kudos to Lisa for putting
Absolutely.
up with
To
Oh,
the
by the way,
family.
let me tell you
her
something.
husband.
When I come home every night and that keypad on the garage works, I'm always a little surprised.
She hasn't changed the code.
Yeah, the day it doesn't, I'll be like, oh, good for her. Good for her. You know what? I'll see you later. I'll just figure out.
No.
No, but it takes a village to
It's-
have a successful
You know
life
what they
like
say.
that, and it is the
It's
foundation.
hard though. I mean,
of
it's a
that
hard,
work.
it's a hard life, and it's a hard life for the kids
Sure,
and for
of
her
course.
because I am not around a lot.
You know
So
what they
my
say?
restauranteur.
Behind every great man is a woman.
Oh, for sure.
For
And I
sure.
am a living example of that.
Yeah, my husband is too.
By the way,
Yeah, and every great man. Yeah.
Behind
you're right.
every great woman, there is a dog following her to the bathroom.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
By the way,
That's
what
the
is
phrase I
yeah?
love.
has anyone
Never follows
ever
me,
said
follows
you-
her.
Yeah.
You sound like Jerry Seinfeld. Has anyone ever said that? You've kind of got that.
Me?
Oh.
Me?
No.
No, Craig.
No,
This is not
there-
about you.
there-
I'll say.
There are
today.
people that wanted me to be a comedian.
Yeah,
I'm
you
glad
got
that you're not now.
You got that, Jerry. Right.
Yeah.
Would
Well,
you go,
kinda-
if you were offered acting jobs now, would you take them?
Yes. Well, okay, I have to be very careful. So one of the reasons I quit acting, not that there was much to quit, but I stopped accepting, is because, I kind of became Craig of Craigs.
Yeah.
And it was like,
Right.
okay, do you want to be this or do you want to be that? And so for the brand and for our success and everything, it needed to be all in.
Right.
I get it.
So,
I get it.
but now I do miss it. It's like a sweet tooth. I do miss that. But to take a role to be a guy like they went that way. I'm like, I don't need
Yeah.
to.
Yeah, right.
I don't need to do it. But if it was a real role and it was fun to do and it was with people that I respected and producers, directors, and writers that were friends and I wanted to work with, I'd probably consider it.
I'll tell you, my friend, Elizabeth Morales,
Yes.
who we were also in class together. She and I are writing something. You might be in it, just for the record. So I'll plant that seed now.
Okay.
Oh.
Does it have to do with the restaurant?
We'll have to negotiate.
No, not sure.
Do you have an agent?
Oh yeah.
Okay, good. Okay, you know what we should probably do since we've
Wait,
been
I
here?
have a raggery.
Oh.
Okay.
Lay
Shocking.
it out.
I
Lay
think
it
it has
out.
something to do with not getting a table at Craig's.
No, well, actually, that should be.
No, but by the way,
But,
that's been fixed.
this-
We're friends now.
Okay, and all right, and I'm a regular. I'm a regular now.
5:30.
5:30 regular.
5:30 regular.
A 5:30 or a 9:45 reg.
Sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead,
My
Sloan.
raggery is one that Craig and I share, and I think we all do, is that people won't work, and I can't imagine what's wrong with America.
Oh.
There's lots of things wrong with America. You're talking, Craig, about people. You want to live your dream? Go work.
Right.
Make it happen.
okay.
You have to start
and
out.
It won't.
So my dad used to say all the time, you know what? It's amazing. The harder I work, the luckier I get.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
so true.
So and then the other thing is like nobody's coming looking for you while you're locked in your apartment. A really big raggery.
Okay.
A really big one. And I just love the fact that I get a chance to say it because okay, I hate, and I don't use hate a lot. I hate when people walk into the elevator before people get out.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yes.
That's a good one.
Yes,
That's a
me.
good one.
That's a
too.
good one.
When did that happen?
Yes, insane.
Oh, I have a.
Those are
What is wrong with you? Let me out so you can get in.
self-centered,
Yeah, right?
Self-centered.
And by the way,
triggered
when you
assholes.
walk on the sidewalk, if you're going one way, you walk on the right.
Right.
You don't
And
walk
then-
on the left.
Yes,
And don't look
exactly.
at your phone
I
while
have
you're
an
walking.
elevator story. I do have an elevator story. It was a long time ago. I was going to my obstetrician, and I had to park on the 5th floor on Camden.
Oh, this
And
must have been a long time ago.
it was, yeah, a long time, but yeah, 28 years ago. So I was going to the elevator, and I was out to here pregnant, and I was going to the elevator, and there were people in the elevator, and they let the elevator door close.
Oh my!
On your tummy?
I ran down. No, I was like.
So pissed she ran all
I
the way
ran
down.
all the way down to the bottom. It stopped in front of the elevator. When they opened the door, I went, "You closed the door on a pregnant woman."
Hilarious.
I wish I could have seen it.
That I would have loved.
Me too.
That's funny.
Those elevator people. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't. When did that happen?
I don't know. That is a good. People are inconsiderate. You know what? It falls into the balloon of
Entitlement.
People think about themselves. They don't think about other people too often.
Well, look, we can. Here's the thing. We get to customize.
Sometimes.
We can customize everything, every aspect of our life. We can customize. We can watch
Yeah.
what we want to watch. We can listen to whatever. We can do everything that we want to do. There are people that walk in the restaurant right now, and thank God we're busy. But they walk in at 8 o'clock, and there's like, "Hi, there's 4 of us," and I'm like, "Do you have a reservation?" They're like, "No."
Does that happen
well,
every
we're-
night?
Well, we're kind of full. We're sitting in a couple hours. They're like, "Huh?" And
They're from the
They're not
Midwest.
being rude. They don't.
They don't know.
No,
Right.
they honestly don't understand that they can't have what they want when they want it right away.
That too.
Instant gratification. People are so used to it. You're right.
So I just think we're all kind of guilty of it. We're all living in this world where we can customize our own experiences. But sometimes
True.
there's a collective, and we have to work with that.
On that, should we say thank you to Craig?
We should.
Thank you.
Thank
so
you.
much. Thank you.
I loved
This was
it.
really
So much
fun.
fun.
We've had a great time.
I
We
know.
did.
Yeah. So
We're
much
going to have to do
fun.
it again. I'm going to do it again.
From
love it.
England.
Okay.
We love it.
All right,
We'll
we'll
Okay,
do
do you
it.
have to
A
play
check back.
music to do that?
Yeah.
Is there
okay.
music?
So say goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.